Lions are a 3.5-point favorite against the defending NFC North champions. Of course, the Lions have a chance to win their first NFC North Division championship in 30 years. Let's bring in Ben Leber, former NFL linebacker, does Vikings sidelines, radio, TV, does it all in Minneapolis. Ben,
he's a star.
The star. How you doing, Ben?
Oh, I'm good. You actually, I'm here on the set of Twin Cities Live right now. We're about to go live on our show in about an hour and a half. So
Sweet.
Love that, Ben. Let me ask you about this, because
you got to tell them what you do for a living in the morning.
I do a television show as well in the morning, so we got a little bit in common there. Yeah, absolutely. A nice lifestyle show like that. This sports stuff, it's just a side hustle, right?
And beauty products and food.
Yeah.
All that stuff, right?
Absolutely. All day, every day, no doubt. Hey, Ben, this is so new for us here in Detroit to be able to talk about a game in which the Lions have an opportunity to win an NFC North Division championship, but still so much on the line for Minnesota as well. How did they come in and really battle back after a tough loss in Cincinnati last week?
Well, you guys have seen it too in the games that you guys have lost. It's the simple things of holding on to the damn ball.
You ain't lying about that.
Problem. I mean, it doesn't matter if Cousins was in there. It doesn't matter if we've got the Pastronaut in there. It doesn't matter who's in there. If we don't hold on to the ball and we don't turn the ball over, we're a pretty good football team. So, as much as I hate to boil it down to some simplicity and just some easy metrics, and again, you guys, when you had your little rough stretch there a few weeks ago, it was the same thing. You guys don't turn the ball over, you guys are one of the best teams in the NFL. So for me and for us, it's going to come down to turnovers. We know that Nick Mullins can spread the ball around. He can get the ball down the field. If they hold on to it, we got a chance.
Ben Leber, it's good to be on the same. We're different sidelines, but now we're not hitting for a change. Now we're actually just talking out as opposed to being on the football field. Kevin O'Connell, former teammate of mine when I was in New York, loved the guy to death. What is it about him that has these guys playing for him? Because you look at the schedule and you just say you see wins and losses, but when you look at the points, you see the Bengals 27-24, the Raiders 0-3, Bears 12-10, Broncos 21-20, Saints 19-27, and then the Falcons 28-31. Every game that they play, they are in. They have a chance to win that game. What is it about Kevin O'Connell and his team where they're so relentless?
I think it goes back to last year when everybody was talking about how are you guys winning so many close games and how are you guys coming back in these games, the Buffalo game, the Colts game. And, you've heard it before. And so all these coaches say, we're getting guys to buy in. And sometimes it's real and sometimes it's not. But I really think that last year it sort of galvanized those guys when they faced some adversity and they saw a similar guy with the same mindset, the same mentality. He really believes in what he's preaching and coaching. So he got those guys to buy in early last year through adversity. And so I think, this year when they're facing adversity, obviously with Cousins being out, big time adversity for this team, they still believe they're a good football team. And they still believe that Brian Flores, given week in and week out, is going to improve this defense. So if it takes more of a defensive mindset to be competitive, that's what they're going to do until they figure out, some consistency on offense.
Being a former wide receiver, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about two guys that I actually voted for the Biletnikoff in Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Just talk about Nick Mullins having those two guys. Justin Jefferson at one point number one, probably still is number one, and Jordan Addison's a guy. He came here on a purpose.
Well, let me just say this real quick because it's funny that you're mentioning that we don't have to compete against each other. Isn't it funny how we sort of just manufacture this hatred towards each other?
This is true. This is true.
When we're playing, we're like, we don't like that guy. I don't like this.
This is true.
Kind of create these chips on your shoulder, and then when we're all done, we're all just
we're all friends.
It's a lot of bro love, so it's good to be on with you. With JJ, I mean, there's not much else to be said. He's one of the best. He's already one of the best. What he does, what he did, making tough catches even last week, coming back from his hamstring injury, getting more and more reps, getting more comfortable with Mullins throwing him the football. The way that he can set up routes, the way that he can break out of routes, it's just, it's his own style. And as much as people want to copy it and emulate it, he can only do what JJ can do. So it's special to watch. And all of those things, all those traits, for Jordan Addison, he came into this season with this quiet goal of having 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, and he's most likely going to get it in these next 3 games. So he's been phenomenal. We've heard it sort of after the draft process how much KOC stood on the table and said, we got to get this guy. This guy can help our football team right now. I know that we may get criticized for maybe not a position of need right now, but he's going to make this offense even more explosive, and boy, do we need him more than ever.
Yeah. It's a hell of a player.
Hey, Ben, it's Mass. Thanks for coming on with us today. I appreciate it. Hey, we helped you out a little bit last year, giving you one of the better tight ends in football, and T.J. Hawkinson. He's doing some phenomenal things. I know Sam Laporta has kind of really filled his shoes here in Detroit. What's your take on that whole trade between the Lions and the Vikings?
Well, it's worked out great. I mean, the Lions obviously didn't want to have to pay this huge salary. They thought that they could go younger at that position and still find a playmaker. And Brad Holmes has done an awesome job. I love his philosophy. I know a lot of GMs, I'm assuming even our own GM Casey has the same mentality, but I think that you guys were so braggadocious with it and out there with it that they're going to draft guys for need and for fit. Find culture guys that, yes, they're good enough to be in this range of where we should draft them, but we don't care if we're going to get criticized for overdrafting a guy. We're going to take the guys that we've vetted out, that we think that we can come right in our locker room and not have to sell them on this vision. They're one of our guys already. So I love their approach. It's paying off. But with Hawk, you guys have seen it. Just like I was talking about with Justin Jefferson, what he can do at the top of his routes, not many other receivers and tight ends can move with that sort of twitchiness, with that wiriness. He can gain separation when, really there is no separation to be gained. He finds a way to gain separation and use his range and his length. So it's been awesome. And it's like 4 or 5. He's found another gear when it comes to breaking tackles and getting yards after the catch too.
Hey, last one for me, Ben. For the last 2 years, the Vikings have been, to me, I'm so impressed by them. All they do is play in one-score games. That's all they do. How does it happen 2 straight years? Last year, obviously, unbelievable, 11-1. This year, not so good. But how do you play one-score games 2 straight years?
Well, obviously, it's not by design. Go back to last year with Donatel's defense. It very much was a bend but don't break mentality. It was very much cover 2. It was pretty stagnant. Teams were going to sort of nitpick you apart. Then we're going to get really tight in the red zone. We've seen that song and dance from a lot of defenses through the last few decades. That's the reason why we were in a lot of close games. We had a pretty high-powered offense. We could score, but our defense also could let up some points. Now, conversely, this year, because of Cousins' injury, we're playing a lot more closer games offensively because we just don't have the firepower anymore. But now our defense is playing really well.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to work really, really hard against our defense to score points. So unfortunately, for all of our heart rates and people that have arrhythmias, sorry, that's not the way we're built these last 2 years.